All right. So what else did you learn? Let me pull it up here. Look what they've done to my song.
It makes sense that he was saying that essentially the perfect and the imperfect with the vav are two different phenomenon or two different phenomena.
Yes.
Well,
And
that's
why
his
is that?
explanation.
Well, that's a pretty universal explanation.
He says they're different, but the errors in the past is that they were treated as like one thing. That's what I read.
And his point is, how can it be one thing if it comes from a different form? If at one point you had both, how could they mean the same thing? Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
But I think he argues that the perfect really did just have different uses, so that the vav with the perfect, actually the vav was added to distinguish, but there are instances of the perfect that are functioning just like the vav with the perfect, like the real perfect.
Which version did I have you read? The vav prefix verb forms in elementary Hebrew grammar? Or was it another one? Okay.
It's called vav consecutive.
The vav prefix forms in elementary Hebrew grammar was the journal publication.
It's called Reconsidering the So-Called Vav Consecutive.
Yeah, got it.
Mm-hmm.
What about, I can't remember who first coined the term. Why do you call it a vav consecutive in the first place? What's consecutive about this vav?
Oh, it's because it's instead of and, it's and then. At least that's what he says in the article.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I read an article in like the 1980s, or written in the 1980s. I didn't read the article from the read an article in the 1980s because I was like 4. But there was one scholar who said, and Cook may talk about this, I don't remember, but there was one scholar who said that the very reason why the prefix was doubled in the past narrative was because it was an assimilation of the particle as. And then, and then, and then, which I don't think I buy. Jason, do you buy that?
No.
It's a good explanation for the time, though. It's all guesswork, right? At some point. So this guy thought that that's how they get the idea of and then. Because Oz means then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know of a word that assimilates into a verb form. I think that's probably not a correct explanation. What about the vav conversive? What does that mean? If I call it a vav conversive, what am I saying? Which, by the way, that's what I learned in college. That's Lambden.
That's basically how they call it in Hebrew too. Vav hipuch.
Yeah, hipuch. Okay.
I think it refers to the note I took is that it's the transformation. You're changing a perfect to a future and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Or an imperfect to a past.
Yes.
Right? Or a future to a past.
Convert. It converts the tense from future to past.
It converts the meaning. which Cook would say is a very stupid explanation.
But that's the traditional explanation.
It's a
Yeah,
traditional
from
explanation.
medieval times.
Yep, and as late as the 1970s. I
Hmm.
don't think that Weingreen explains it that way. I'm pretty sure he calls it a Vav consecutive.
I think he does too.
And he was before Lambden, who called it a Vav conversive, which is the grammar I learned on in college. Which, Jason, do you remember what Seow calls it?
Of consecutive, I think.
Okay, he was Lambden's student.
Maybe it says conversive. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Maybe that's why I asked. I was curious.
I mean, I can
And
check.
SR drivers, the consecutive, and he proceeded to say a nascent idea. I don't even know what that means.
Nascent is from to be born. An action is born. It's begun.
Yeah, it's starting.
Okay. What about the Vav relative?
You would think that if it were relative, then the form wouldn't matter. It would all relate to the verb in front of it. So you could always use vaidaber and never vidaber or vidiber.
Yep.
You would think you would never need the perfect. You could only use the imperfect, or vice versa. You'd
And
only
this-
do one form.
And Cook says, well, this guy, Schroeder, or Schrader, however you pronounce it in German, probably Schroeder, that it relativized it based on the previous verb form. So thus, since it
Yeah.
relativizes it, that's what anchors it to the past.
Hmm.
I would
And
see
then-
no reason to use the imperfect with it or the perfect. Like you would see no reason. If it's relative, then you could always start with the past and then use the same form to continue the past. Start with the future and use that same form to continue the future. Why do you need a distinct form? That wouldn't make
Right.
sense.
So now can you explain why does Cook call it a just using it as a past narrative as distinguished from the imperfect, which you touched on, Samuel? And to be honest, I always get which one is which confused.
Which one is which one?
Which form is which? The Proto-Semitic verb form.
Ah.
So you have Yaktul and Yaktulu, two different forms, one being the imperfect and one being the past. And I forget which one is the Yak. I think Yaktulu is the
Is the imperfect.
imperfect. Yeah. Mhm. So the consensus is with Proto-Semitic folks, and I think everybody would say, regardless of what you call it, regardless of the terminology that you ascribe to it, every Proto-Semitic, every person with Proto-Semitic knowledge would say that it's from two distinct forms. Cook's point is, well, since it's from two distinct forms, why do we assume that the two forms share the same function? Right?
Hmm.
And that's basically the thrust of the article. And I think his last 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 paragraphs is to say that by calling it past narrative, we're doing two things. We're saying that this is a distinct form from the imperfect. And we're also saying that it's past narrative because 98% of the time, the Vav consecutive indicates past tense. The exceptions being in poetry. And oddly, there's one case, I think in Psalms, where it uses the past narrative in poetry to indicate past tense.
He's not saying that the Vaiktol is used in poetry for the future.
No,
saying
he's
saying
he's
that
not.
Normally the past tense in poetry is just the perfect.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. That there is, yeah, normally it's a perfect, but there are a couple cases in poetry where there's a past narrative form that's used, but poetry is not narrative, right? So that's an interesting anomaly, which we have, Jason and I have a mutual friend who says, well, since it's used these 2 times in poetry, you can't call it a past narrative.
That disqualifies the 99.9% of other uses. It's so
Yes.
dumb.
We love him. And in fact, he's been talking on this forum for the past 20 plus years, and he scared Dr. Cook off of that forum
Because he's argumentative.
because he spent too much time arguing with him, and he considered it a waste of time and effort, which Jason is now learning that it is probably a waste of time and effort to engage with this person. All right. Jason, what would you like to teach us about prepositions? Talk about Arnold and Choi.
I hate this book. I really do. I didn't find anything valuable in what I read. I tried.
Did you folks read it? The preposition section.
Yeah.
What did you think? Boring as hell?
Well, yeah, it's hard just to read like that, but it has good things to remember. Some uses that wouldn't come to my mind, like just looking at it in the text.
What I
Right.
find annoying, I tell you, is that I look at the section on prepositions, and then I flip 20 pages, 50 pages further into the text, and I see the same divisions for verbs. And I flip further and I see that, like, it's just the same outline for everything, and it's so meaningless. I don't know. I don't like the labels. Instrumental, adversative, specification. Like, it just seems ridiculous.
But
to me.
Wallace does the same thing.
Wallace. And
Daniel
everybody hates
Wallace.
him.
No, they don't. Not evangelicals.
Everybody complains about his division of the genitives, for example.
And Cook told us when we were translating and we were giving explanations for stuff, he would not let us use that grammar.
Which?
Arnold and Choi. On the contrary, my advanced Hebrew class at Hebrew Union College used that textbook. And I grit my teeth and I said, this should not be a primary text for this course. Just require your students to get either Waltke or Juan and call it a day. But I think they required that one for the same reason as I did, because the other two are much more expensive. And this is essentially an abridgment of Waltke and O'Connor. And the one good thing about this version is it gives sources to look at. And it talks about linguistic theory and what other people are saying about something. So that's actually my favorite theory, my favorite feature of it. I would go to that book not to learn, but to see, okay, let's see if I go to the Vav consecutive section, I can find these articles about all these different viewpoints through the years. And that's really neat. So I like that function. So good. Anything particular any particular use that you thought was especially surprising?
How about better? Do you have any questions about what you read over it?
Yes, also that.
Well, for Bane, the preposition Bane, it's good to know that it says 80% of the time it's paired with itself.
Mhm.
So that's good to know. I don't just to
It can be
keep
paired
an eye
with
out.
three things. It can be paired with ben ve, like between and. Ben le, like between the two, between this to that. Or ben, or ben uven.
Yeah, I think that's what he's
Even.
talking about, it being paired with itself.
Hmm.
Like in Genesis chapter 1, Ben Laor Uven La Choshech. God separated between the light and between the darkness.
Hmm.
All
Um,
right. Well, that's a pretty good succinct summary. Jason, do you have anything else to add?
What I would have liked if, because this is for intermediate / advanced students, I would have liked if he had like with the preposition al, if he would given all of the forms of al and how it takes its suffixes, and perhaps even like alemo, which is a form that you wouldn't see anywhere, but it appears a few times in the Bible. Give like odd appearances, words that you don't expect, but you do find. Give if you're thinking about suffixes, give the distinction between lemino and leminehu. That it's the same word, it's just two different forms.
hmm.
Elohem, their God, and Elohemo, their God. Like these types of things, I just think so much is missing to use this as a step, like a stone until the next level. So
Well,
much is missing that it doesn't seem useful.
this is my contention. And this is my problem with the course that I just took, is that it's not an advanced Hebrew grammar. It's an intermediate Hebrew grammar. It's for somebody that's just beginning to move out of the basics.
Yeah.
So
Does it address the form lamo, which does appear a lot in poetry in the Bible?
I don't
Lamo.
think so. I don't think so.
Does it have an index of Hebrew vocabulary? There's no index of, you can't look up where the words are used in this book.
Nope.
It's so useless. It's useless in so many ways. If you use Smythe's grammar for Greek, you can look up the words and find out where they are used in examples.
I think I have a different idea of what to do. Let's ditch this book. Are you ready? Ready to hear this?
For it.
Let's ditch this book and let's replace it with something that is publicly available and much better.
Mhm.
Jason, what am I about to suggest?
Gesenius.
Yes. What do you think of that, Jason?
If you learn how to read Gesenius, then you're taking a step in the right direction.
But yeah, and there are, the most recently updated version is much more readable than the first edition.
Yeah, and you can buy a cheap print edition.
Yeah, and it's publicly available as well. So you can find it online.
This is a cheap paperback edition.
And I think it's
And
much.
Almost everything in this is dependable. This is a good Hebrew grammar, and it has accidents galore. All the weird forms are in this.
And it's
Gesenius.
wrong in places because it's old.
Yeah,
But
it's outdated, but it's
it's
useful.
but it's a standard
Mhm.
and
Mm.
it's still extraordinarily valuable. People still go to Gesenius for explanations.
I have to say that I have read this book cover to cover, and I spend hours in this textbook. I love it.
So do you approve of my decision? I think that would be, I would encourage you to, let's do this. Let's read Gesenius. And
It's like reading Smythe. Have you read Smythe for Greek?
Mm.
Oh,
Mm. No.
Smythe. Really? You've studied Greek and you haven't read Smythe?
right, seminary didn't require Smythe.
Yeah.
And in
This is-
fact,
This is Smythe's Greek grammar.
our Hebrew 2 class
Mm.
used to require Smythe, but ditched it for Crosby and Schaefer, which was an Attic Hebrew grammar. Which, to be honest,
Smythe is fantastic.
I learned so much more
Mhm.
from the Attic. It made
Mhm.
Koine Greek make so much more sense.
Well, Smythe is phonetic,
Yeah.
mostly.
Mhm.
It also covers.
So let's do this. Let's do our primary readings from Gesenius, if you can find it. And let's compare that to Arnold and Choi. And
Mm.
let's look at those sections, compare those sections, and see what recent work has been done that would be different. So let's not spend a majority of our time reading that book, but let's go back for comparative purposes.
I will say that reading Gesenius is going to be like, that really is a move to advanced Hebrew.
Yep, which is why I suggested it. Because as I told Jason, the reason why I required this one instead of the other two standard advanced grammars is because it's considerably cheaper.
Mm.
And I thought, well, since my advanced Hebrew grammar course used it, it can still be used as an advanced course. But I now think that it should not be used for an advanced course.
Mm.
That's just my opinion. So does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Where is
All
that?
right.
You can find it on archive.org. You can find it.
Yeah, I found it on
anywhere.
Google Scholar.
Mm,
I think it's
all
the right
over.
one.
Is it Gesenius, Couch, and Cowley?
Yeah,
Okay, that's the current edition.
the second English edition.
Mhm.
Okay.
Translated by Cowley. It has notes by Couch. Couch added to it
Yeah.
in German.
So let's use that one instead. Okay.
Mm.
Much better. Much better. That makes
Are you
me-
proud of me, Jason?
Yeah.
I
This is
made
something-
Jason.
That's
I
something I
made
can spend time in.
I made Jason mad today, so really I'm just trying to make it up to him and make him less mad at me.
I'm over it.
Good. I'm glad you're over it. All right, let's turn to the translation. So Samuel, once again, you're going to be the driving force between what we cover today. And you can share, well, I wanted Samuel to share what he had done.
Huh.
If that's okay.
So
If you can share, Samuel.
or to copy and paste it again.
Well, yeah, but can you share your screen?
Well, I could do that too, I guess.
Yeah, just do that. Oh, you mean put it into the Google document?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just share your screen. I think it would be easier.
Okay.
If you would, if you can post your work into the forum, I can check it for you and offer feedback after this class is over, so you'll have explanations. That would probably be a good idea.
Mhm.
Just hang on a second. Oh, yeah. Sure. All right. Marcelo, I would like to.
Wow, that's a pretty font.
Yeah. Oh, that's your Junicode?
No,
Yeah, Junicode and Chopin.
So
Jason
far.
Jason is a Junicode
Fan.
evangelist.
Junicode is going to be replaced, though. They're making a new one. Mhm.
Marcelo, I would like to use you. Guess what you're gonna be site translating. This is what you get when you don't do your homework. You get to site translate. And you I don't know if I'll make you write it, but you can, if you want to write it, you can.
Yeah, I'll write it.
Okay. So verse 5, Samuel, read it.
in Hebrew?
Yes.
Okay. Vahi vadiver Avraham bavoker l'sara et
Boker.
kol
Boker.
boker l'sara et kol amrav Adonai.
Amrav. Does that work, Jason?
What? Amrav?
Amrav? Yeah.
It's not a word.
What could you say instead of that?
The av is an ending for nouns.
That's
Like,
right. Like Devarav or Lefanav or yeah. What's the proper form?
What do you mean?
Not Amrav. What should you have instead?
like how you say he said.
Amar.
Amar.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you can't attach prepositions to a verb?
You
You
can.
can
but-
attach prepositions, but not suffixes. Well,
No,
not
you
those.
can attach
suffixes.
suffixes, but they need to
Not
act
those
as
ones.
objects. They need to act as objects of the verb. This isn't an object.
What's to him?
Object. To him, eto.
That's with him.
Oh, yeah.
A love.
Low. Or sorry.
Or you could
Depends, right?
yeah, I would use low here. I don't know why. I just think that would be the right way to do it. Low. So Amar low.
But we will want to add the relative pronoun.
Right.
This low is not.
All which the Lord has spoken to him.
But that no means not. It's a negative.
Yes.
What's
the other one? To him. I guess Samuel's an auditory learner as well.
Well, maybe. I'm drawing a blank.
Low with a vav.
Yes, that's what I had said.
Yeah.
Oops.
One of the things in Hebrew that I learned early on is not to second guess yourself.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yep. Try to ditch that habit.
So at the beginning of this, you want to move that baboker to the beginning, and it came to pass in the morning.
And what are you doing with that vadaber? Vadaber.
All right. Vayhi bevoker, vayhi ba in the
Ba boker,
ba.
right? Takes the definite article. The vowel of the
Oh.
definite article.
In
Vayhi
the
baboker.
Ba boker.
Mhm.
And it came to pass, which by the way, anytime you see and it came to pass, that's what we call a discourse vayhi.
Mhm.
What's a discourse vayhi again? From your intermediate studies?
Breaking the narrative. I mean, a start of a new section.
For starting a narrative.
What's it signaling? What's it signaling?
Past tense.
Past tense.
Oh,
So yes, you're right. It does start a new narrative, but it also signals past tense.
hmm.
In other words, it doesn't really mean anything. It could just say, in the morning,
In the
Abraham
morning.
told Sarah.
Right.
But the and it came to pass makes it, this is the beginning of narrative past.
Yes, but it's also literal. But along come Cook and Homestead, and they say, this is stupid.
Why do we
Hmm.
say and it came to pass? We don't need to say
Right.
that.
This is stupid. Why in Genesis 1 do you say, and God said, and God said, and God said, and God said? That's stupid.
We do it because the Septuagint says kaiageneto, kaiageneto, kaiageneto. And because the King James says, and it came to pass, and it came to pass. It's tradition.
Yes.
Yeah,
And there,
yeah,
and from a
yeah.
linguistic point of view, which is their point of view, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Mhm.
So they just
Mhm.
say it signals past tense, is all it does.
Hmm.
Right? And so if Vaihi signals past tense in narrative, do you remember what signals future tense in narrative? Which I'm sure we'll run into at some point. In fact, I think we did in the last one, in lesson 1 or reading 1.
Is it just the u?
Yeah, v'haya. Just a vav plus a perfect.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
The vav consecutive perfect, or as we learned it, what do you call it? Much to the chagrin, much to the
Irial
chagrin,
perfect.
much to the chagrin of Jason.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with it.
Oh, you're
Irial
okay with
perfect.
it now? Okay. Ah, you've been reading Cook's book.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's this V'daber Avram Lasara? And it okay. And it came to pass in the morning that Abraham told.
Remember that diber is spoke. Spoke. We have here told.
Use block form for
We have
these
here
folks.
told.
Mhm.
So diber spoke. My R is not coming through. Spoke. How do we say told? Told. Told is not spoke.
Is it Amar?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
To say or tell. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so
Yeah.
Right, but the imperfect is formed with
the Yod.
yod. Yeah.
Uh,
We wanna. How do you say it? How do you pronounce it?
Vayomer.
Yes. So where does the O go? If it goes there, there's no vowel on the yod. Can you have a
Samuel,
consonant
you're
with no vowel?
definitely an auditory learner, which does my heart good. Because I too
See,
am.
You can have an aleph that has no vowel, and the aleph is quiescent, but you can't
Mhm.
have a yod with no vowel. So vayomer, the vowel has to go on the yod.
The confusion is it looks
Hmm.
like the holum is going with the aleph because it's
Yeah.
right above it.
That confuses me, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
That's right.
Vayomer.
Yeah. And in the next word, you have the consonant with no vowel.
How about this third to last word in your composition?
Third
Well,
to
it's-
last.
Amr,
Amr.
Which, let's see.
That one, the one where your cursor is blinking.
Uh-huh.
You're trying to say-
I see what you're saying. I see.
It sounds like it's Arabic. Amr. Amr.
Amar.
Like in Arabic, the word for Egypt is M-I-S-R. Misr. Misr. Without a
Misr.
vowel. Where in Hebrew it's Mitzrayim.
Mitzrayim.
Mhm. So what are the vowels for the katal? Or for the katal?
For-
Yeah. And we're missing one word here.
Mhm. All which. What's which?
A share.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Fantastic. I love that you've learned to locate the vowels. It's great.
Share. So, is it right to like leave off the vav consecutive there?
Yes, you can't use verb consecutive because it's after a subordinator.
Ah, I didn't know that.
One thing that is technically missing is that this kol is a closed syllable. So it needs to be joined with the next word.
Yeah, it needs to have a makef. But if you had a holum there, you wouldn't have to have the makef.
So I can
Makef,
just-
makef, makaf. All the same.
all
Exactly.
which he said to him,
Mhm.
the Lord. Okay.
Vayhi
Good
baboker,
work.
vayomer Avraham l'Sarah et kol asher amar lo Adonai. Perfect.
And then can you read this? And then I'm gonna call on Marcelo for number 7.
Okay. Vat.
6.
Or
Uh,
yeah, well, Marcelo can do part of 6. We'll split up 6 because it's long.
I wrote Vatomer Sarah Baruch Adonai Asher Al Azav.
Lo azav.
Well, let's make the corrections after he's finished.
Yeah, my bad translation
Just,
first.
you know, in Greek you have u and me. Me is for
But-
non-indicative.
But since Jason brought it up, what should you use instead of that? What is all used with? Do you remember? Not just negative.
Not just negative.
It's not only a negative. It's used with a certain form.
Oh,
I thought it was like in a, well, isn't it for like a regarding a specific instance?
Yes.
Whereas low is more with a principle or
Yes. Or depending on how you learned it, Jason disagrees with this, a one-time thing versus a permanent prohibition, which is what the old grammars tell you. But
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
not sure
like
if I'm not sure if that's right. But all syntactically is used with what verb form?
It's not a good way to think of it. Think of
with
lo as indicative and al as non-indicative, irreal.
Mhm. Right.
oh, so
Just,
the
just like you have
all,
may with subjunctive and jussive and cohortative and all of that in Greek. So in
Mhm.
Hebrew, al goes with all of the non.
But this is always used with one form.
so the imperfect.
Yes, but low is also used with the imperfect.
It's specifically imperfect used as a negative command. Because that
It's-
would be the non-subjunctive, don't do it.
It's also used with the second person, is
Mhm.
what I was looking for. So you
And with the
can't.
third person, let it not happen.
Is it
And with
used
the
with the
first
third
person,
person?
let may I not do it. Anything that's outside of the indicative.
Okay, then I was mistaken.
Okay.
You also okay. Usually with the second person.
In Psalm 121, it says, Al yanum shomrecha. May your guardian not slumber.
haven't done a whole lot of poetry. So what should it be instead of all?
Low,
Yeah.
because we're in indicative, because she is old.
Well, because he hasn't forsaken.
Sorry, yes, she has not forsaken.
Samuel jumped ahead.
I did.
What about shifcho? There's something wrong with that.
Shifcho.
I think. Am I right, Jason?
Yeah, there's something like that.
I think that was a hay there that I just
Nope.
dropped off.
You have to keep the hay.
Oh,
The
But
hay
something-
doesn't drop off, it turns into something else.
But something else.
Like the hay is there principally. but it's pronounced as something else, and so we write it differently.
But it's a scene, right?
Nope.
Oh, it's not? Okay, I'm wrong.
But
Uh,
the word is shifcha.
Yeah.
Shifcha. Well, the ah doesn't disappear. It stays shifcha, and then we make the ending shifcha to.
Right.
To.
But now you have this syllable being open. Open. It's a
It
near
is.
syllable, so it can't be short. It's open. It has to be
Long.
long.
How do we know to change shifcha to shifchat?
Well, I think practically it's weird to say shifcha ho, which doesn't sound right.
That's could be part of it. But what does the tav from shifcha to shifchat? What is that?
From Torah to Torat. Why would you have the shift from A to At? What do you have whenever you join nouns together in succession?
Jason just gave it away.
I didn't say the word.
It's
No, you
what's in construct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
construct or smichut.
Semichut.
So the maidservant of him, right? So you still have, if you
I
wanted to
see.
be super literal, and if it helps you, you still have that of there. Shifchato, the maidservant of him, his maidservant. Just like you have like well, what's another example?
I just want to jump into Arabic because in Arabic this is really explicit.
Yes, but we don't
It's
know
the same-
Arabic.
Like it's the same phenomenon. What they did in Arabic is just change the hey a little bit. So that if there's something connected to it, they pronounce it like a T. If nothing's connected to it, they pronounce it like a ah. But it's written the same. Hebrew, you just write it differently.
Good. Samuel, you're doing pretty well. Okay, now Marcelo, your
All right.
turn.
But
Can you-
we need et. Et.
Oh yes, that's right. Because it's an object, right? Marking the receiver of the verbal action. The receiver of the action of the verb. Right? And the reason why we need et. Why do you need et there? Because shifchato is definite, right? And this is the definite direct object marker. So because you say his maidservant, that's what's making it definite. So remember, to make nouns definite, you can either have the article or some sort of a pronominal suffix on it. Right?
Mhm.
Okay, Marcelo.
You don't need this word though. You don't need because the
No,
T.
you don't, but I put it there. But I put it Zachartiani.
Zacharti or Zakanti?
Sorry, Zakanti. Zakantiani. I think that's how it is in the scripture.
Oh, so you flipped it.
Yeah, I did flip it.
I just want to put it.
And I don't-
Zakanti va'umal belibi.
I
I
don't
don't remember
think,
if Weingreen said to put it there. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I think it's Zachantiani because I translated this for my advanced Hebrew class. I might be misremembering, but I don't think Hine is one of those words that triggers inversion. So why would you flip it?
Well, because most of the time. No, I'm saying that it doesn't trigger inversion because most of the time it's followed by a participle. Most of the time.
Right. Okay. But why would you trigger inversion here? Why did I say zachanti ani instead of ani zachanti?
Zakanti.
I actually did ani zaken. I did.
That's not a cha.
Zak, yeah,
I did.
zaken.
Yeah, I did a ani zaken ani. Yeah, you
Zaken.
probably want the
Mm,
adjective and not the verb form here. Zakanti would be like I have become old.
Which is
Right,
better.
that's what Weingreen says, because it's like you're arriving at a state.
Okay, so let's keep the verb, but why would you flip it there? Zakanti ani. Instead of ani zakanti. Because remember, ordinary Hebrew word order is subject verb, right?
Mhm.
So why would you flip it if there's no grammatical word that triggers inversion?
Hmm.
Do you understand what I'm asking now?
Yeah,
Do you
I'm not
remember?
sure why. Hmm.
Focus.
but
Emphasis.
Could you focus on the ani? Like I am
Yes. I think if you focused on the ani, that would be regular word order.
Hmm.
So I think here it's focusing on the fact that she has become old. Zakanti ani.
Hmm.
Like in Jonah, when they ask who he is, he says, Ivri anochi.
Right, but I don't think we need ani here at all. Like I wouldn't put it. In
Ah,
Zakanti.
I
In
think
Zakanti for a moment.
check that against the text. What is that? Genesis 2? No, Genesis 20 something, maybe. Anyway, that's right. All that to say that would be perfectly acceptable Hebrew syntax. Whether or not it appears in the text, we're not necessarily trying to reduplicate the text, right? We can come up with a bunch of different possibilities, right? Maybe not a bunch, but as many as 2 or 3.
Hmm.
Ah, yes. What's wrong with that vowel point? Lave is heart, but what happens when you put a suffix pronoun on it? The heart of me. My heart. First of all, is it definite?
Yes.
Jason, would that be a Shiva or a Patach?
What?
Blebi.
This is right.
Lebi? No, it would be Libby, wouldn't it?
This is wrong.
Yeah. It shortens.
So it wouldn't have the definite article.
That's what I was asking Jason about.
That's
So
right.
yeah, Jason says
Hmm.
no. Which was my first inclination, but then I was like, well. So yeah,
So it shortens or it lengthens.
It shortens because it's
shortens
closed
from a sigil to a hirik.
from a tzere.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, a seri to a hirik because you're adding a suffix.
It's a common happening, like the word chetz. Chetz means arrow, and plural is chitzim with a dagesh in the tzadi. Chetz, chitzim, lev, libi. Not
Libi.
the plural of it is levavot. Levavot.
Hmm.
Okay, I meant to stop you at zakanti. So
Zakanti
Marcelo,
va'omar belibi.
what I want you to do, Marcelo, is to correct his errors if you can. Can you do that?
To correct his errors.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my computer's getting really hot.
I shall not have a son, but I trust in the Lord. Well, can I write? I need to write it or something.
You can.
Here, I'll go to the Google Doc.
Jason, can you take over for a couple minutes?
I
Just a-
can't
just a
take over the
couple.
screen.
Well, I mean, just
Samuel,
Just
could you copy
take-
number 5 and 6
take-
into the Google Doc?
take over the
Yeah.
discussion is what I mean. I'll be right back.
Let's see. I shall not let us learn. Load.
Where am I?
Hang on. Okay, let's see.
Who's typing now?
Hey, Marcelo.
Because it says hamster on my side.
Um, how do we do? Contrast, I forgot. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oops. Oh, okay. Oops. Du-du-du-du-du-du-du. No, this would be different. Let's see. This would be.
Is there a difference between low N and Ken N? Or would there be lowish and Kenish?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Why would you use Ken?
Right. So Ken
Sorry
is
if
the
you
opposite.
wrote that.
Ken is the opposite of lo, and yesh is the opposite of n, and they don't mix. You don't say lo n. N is negative on its own. See the word lo? N is
Oh.
n is negative, and lo is negative. So you will use one or the other. N means there is not, or it negates participles.
Hmm.
So to say I know, you say en yodea. To say I don't know, you say en yodea. I don't know.
So this would be, I'm not sure. No. Where? Where's that?
So she says, I said in my heart, I shall not have a son. And the word have here doesn't mean have, it means bear. Like I have a son, that means I give birth to a son, right? I shall not bear a son, is how we would say it if we're being literal.
Hmm.
And
Bear.
there's a,
Is
to translate this literally, I shall not have a son. We're going to say lo yeli ben. Lo is the future is yihye. There will be. There shall not be to me a son. But we're not going to translate this literally, because what she really means is using the word laledet. Laledet, to give birth. Laledet. The past tense for laledet is yalad. What happens to first yod verbs when they go into the future and into the infinitive?
One of
They
those
drop-
verb review questions.
what drops?
Yeah, they drop the yod. So that's what happens in the future. You say, like, ani eled, ata teled, he teled, hu yeled, va'at teldi. So what she's saying really is, I will not give birth to a son.
So low, oops. Yeled.
Maybe Yalad is the root. How do you make the future for I? Remember, there are prefixes. The future is prefix tense.
No, the Aleph, right?
Aleph. Mhm. And the first yod
Oh,
drops the yod.
so Alad,
Eled.
Eled.
Eled. Hmm.
Lo eled ben. Lo eled. Mhm.
So this last one, I'm trying to figure out what to say. In the Lord I trust.
Yeah.
I don't think we had that word in our
What is it?
batach.
Yeah, that's what I was going. I was trying to find where the. Oh, it's right here.
But it's not trust, but you would render it like I have trusted. It's these sensation verbs like to know, to think, to trust, to love, to hate. Many times they're written in the perfect, but we translate them in English as the present.
Good.
Why good? That's the
Oh, no,
future
no.
for-
Well, no, I was saying that to what you were saying,
Yeah, so that was
which
the
is
future
always
for
good.
people. Not really.
Well,
Sometimes I get mad at people. I say things I shouldn't say.
that's okay. Carl excluded, correct? I mean, I think you should definitely say everything. you're saying.
So what you've written here is Yivtacheni, which means he will trust me. So Ye is he will,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Ooh,
So we don't want he will. And we don't want I will. No, we want the past, not
I-
the future.
but I will trust, right?
No, I trust in the Lord is not I will trust. It's
But
I have trusted.
Never mind.
So in the past or the perfect, we're gonna put a different ending on there.
Hang on. I trust,
Change, take that away and add your middle root letter again.
come on.
No.
So is it both, and by both 10, is it both?
You're thinking in the participle. You're thinking like boteach, botachat, botachat, but we don't want the participle, we want the past tense.
So just ani bata?
Batach is he trusted. You can't say he trusted.
Bati. Right?
There's a
Is it-
suffix that means I.
For the I'm confused at the,
So hu achal, he ate. He achla, she ate. Ata achalta, you ate. Ani achalti, I ate. Achalti.
but.
So batach, he trusted.
It's so literally I'm trying to say I trusted the Lord, right?
I trusted in the Lord.
So would it be? No.
No, you're missing a root letter.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. What are the vowels? Ach, barunai, batachti. How'd you delete T?
Is it? Hang on.
You had it written right. You just had to add the vowels,
Oh,
not with hey. Not batati, batachti.
But Marcelo pronounces the haze as chetz. So, are there any non-auditory learners in this group right now?
I'm a visual learner.
I
Okay,
pity you.
I think this is not. It's,
This needs to be hard. Batachti. And this, there's no reason for that to be kamat because it's not in pause. Well, it could be. It's at the end of the verse, but
It could be, yeah, could be.
you need to learn it with the proper vowel.
Mhm.
Batachti. And this has to have dagesh.
Why does that have to have a dagesh, Marcel? That tav.
Because it's a close. It's a double.
Not a double. But you had it right the first time when you started to explain it.
Well, it's a closed syllable.
And it's a bagad kafat letter, right?
But not,
So if a bagad kafat letter opens a syllable, it'll take a dagesh.
okay.
No, if it appears not after, if there's not a vowel in front of it. That's not true either. How can we say it? Okay, if there is no vowel in front of it, it takes dagesh lene.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, but if there is a vowel in front of it, it can take dagesh chazak if it's doubled, or it will be without dagesh.
Yes, but here it's a Duggish call because it's opening a syllable.
Yep.
Right? That's what I meant to say. So.
Not because it's
but-
opening a syllable, but because it's not following a vowel. It has to do with if there's a vowel in front of it, not if it opens a syllable. It can open a syllable and have a vowel in front of it, and then it'll be soft.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Opening a closed syllable. That's what I meant to
Yes,
say.
it's opening a new syllable
Opening a
after a
closed
closed syllable.
syllable. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry about that. So it's opening a closed syllable. So it's not a doubling Doggish, not a Doggish forte, not a Doggish chazak. It's a Doggish call.
Mhm.
Or a Doggish lene in the traditional term.
Can you explain why the Eled has the series? I understand how it
Mhm.
got to the consonants, just not
That's
the,
That's
Series.
just the pattern of first yod verbs in the
Yeah,
imperfect.
so let's think, okay, so we have. This is separate, it's different. Yashan, Yarad. Yarad, he went down. The future is Yered. Yered, he will go down. Yarad,
Yay raid.
Yered. What's another one?
Damn it.
Wow, there aren't a lot of them.
First yod.
Yashan is different because Yashan becomes
You could do
Yada.
Yes,
yeah, very good.
Yeda. The second one changes to Patach because of the Ain.
Oh. So yeah, so it didn't come from anywhere. Like it wasn't because of the Aleph prefix with a
It's-
Segol under it.
First Yods want to form themselves almost into segolets. Right.
Hmm.
So if you think of the like Yered is a prime example. Yarad is the past, Yered is the future. Whenever you go into the infinitive, you take the ending of the prefix away. There's no prefix. And because it's so short, this is the imperative, by the way. The imperative, red, go down.
Right.
Red. But to get to the infinitive, you add taf. And then it becomes redet.
Hmm.
They want to be segolets. So the infinitive to go down is laredet.
Right.
The same thing with yalad, becomes yeled in the future. I've never heard anyone use an imperative for this. Give birth, give birth. Like it's not something you do. But the infinitive would be ledet. You add the taf,
Hmm.
and it's a segolet, ledet. And when you say to give birth, you say la ledet.
Also to walk.
Yeah. Walach in the future acts like a first yod, and it becomes yelech.
Hmm.
Yelech, he will go. Okay, so it also drops everything and adds a taf. You say lechet. Okay, so what do you call a planet in Hebrew? You call it a kochav lechet. A walking planet, a walking star, because it walks in the sky, travels.
Hmm.
But anyway, lalechet is to go.
Hmm.
That's how they're formed. They're
Yeah.
special, first yod.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And all of these are in the kal. So, they're not nifal or anything, they're kal.
Hmm.
Okay, so we have 9 minutes. Is this as far as you got? Because you said you did 6 verses. So did we
Not
only,
much more than that.
did we only
Uh,
cover,
I finished.
One verse last time?
I finished 10.
oh, all right, well, let's do the next one. But for next
I'm
time,
working on the 7 one. I don't know if I'm right or not.
Abraham built an altar. So you want to make that a past narrative, right?
Hmm.
What you have looks like it would be an real perfect form, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Vabana. So
Uvan.
what would uvana. So what would the past narrative be? And if you want to, this is one of those weird forms. So we can do just give me what you think it would be, and then we'll see if we need to take any additional steps.
Imperfect.
Yes, you need to make it imperfect.
Vine.
You need to pronounce the bait, right? Point it as you think you should point it first.
Nope, that wouldn't be right.
That's what you would expect it to be.
What's what you would expect?
Vayivne. But Bana is weird. Bana actually loses the hay in the past narrative.
Not because it's weird, because it's third hay.
Right.
They all do it.
Yeah. It's irregular. It's regular for third hay verbs. Samuel, any ideas? What do you think?
Well, he's working on it.
He is.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you need to make the noon final first of all, right?
And you gotta have that E in there.
Well, that's what I was getting at.
Right.
So since the hay falls off, that vowel is going to shorten, but not that much.
You got an O on there. Yeah, there you go.
It should be a hear, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so naturally there would be a consonant cluster there, right? Because yivne becomes yivin.
Oh, you gave it away. But yeah, it's a sigil. Vayivin.
Why is the
Mhm.
symbol introduced there?
Anonymous hamster. I don't know why Google does this.
Because
It gives
it's
us all animal names.
it's reduced from the A class.
No.
But
What do we have here? A V and an N together. Vn, vn,
oh,
vn.
right. So
Is there a vowel?
right now there isn't. There's no vowel, so it needed.
So what are these if they're not vowels?
Jason, can you point it
consonant.
as can you point it as what it was originally, and then take it from there to where? Yeah, Vayivne to Vayivn Shiva Shiva.
And then it needs Viven.
And so then it
But
adds
what are these if they're not vowels? What's you have vowels and you have
Consonants.
consonantes, right? So how do you, if you have two consonants together, it is a consonant
Cluster, like you said.
Cluster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hebrew doesn't like consonant clusters, especially not the end of a word.
Yeah.
So in order to break the consonant cluster, they insert e.
Can you give an illustration of just a seglet? Because that might help see the changes from change to change. Because this is the kind of assignment that I'm going to give you at some point.
So can I do what?
No, Jason, to Jason.
Well, this
Jason.
is a seglet. It's
Yes,
a
I know.
seglet in the verb
Give
construction.
what I mean, give another one without the past narrative, just a regular seglet noun.
Hold on just a second. I want to get rid of that accent. So that's the change. Vayivne to
Mhm.
vayiven. So
Well, it
the
goes
most
from
common
vayiv,
is
it goes from vayivne to vayivn with two shavas, and they didn't like that, so they added that segel to resolve it.
Mhm.
And that's called anaptixis.
I preach about this all the time.
Anaptixis. Yeah, I know. That's why I asked you to do it.
So vayiven. The most common example is the word malk, malku. Malku. This
probably
is
probably a long vowel
Proto-Hebrew.
at the end.
It's Proto-Hebrew, where the case ending, there was a case ending. So when the case ending dropped, it became malk. Malk. Malk.
Mhm.
Okay, malk. And then that consonant cluster, LK, they broke it up. So malk became malech, where the kaf is no longer starting a new syllable, right? So it's soft. And then malech became through, what do you call it? Assimilation of sounds,
Assimilation. Yep.
where it became, instead of malech, it became melech. Where the
I
two
see
sounds just kind of
you've been
merged.
reading that book.
I love this stuff.
So this is what eventually you're going to get exercises like this. Although my only wondering is, I think Malku should be a long shurik.
You can't add a shurik. You have to, first of all, kibbutz can be long or short. But because you can't add vowel letters for case endings, they have to be represented with short vowels.
Okay.
Because
I learned something new.
otherwise you're adding a consonant to the text that doesn't exist and never existed.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm following. So this is what your exercises are going to be learning, first of all, learning about Proto-Semitic, and then taking it from the Proto-Semitic to the Hebrew, step by step, like he just did. And I don't think that I'm going to make you go backwards. I really had trouble going backwards from the final Hebrew form to the Proto-Semitic.
Mm.
That was hard for me for some reason. But yeah, so we're going to do a little bit of that, not too much of that.
Think
A
about
little bit of that.
the name Abraham. Is it Ovraham, Ov, or Av? It's a closed syllable. Mhm. On this one, I changed your kamatz to patach because it's furtive patach. Furtive patach can never be kamatz. Right?
Mm,
It's real. This is an open syllable, unaccented. The stress is here. It's unaccented open syllable. Has to be long. No choice.
okay.
Okay. If it's this place in Hebrew, you don't say placed the this, but you say the placed the this. Right? The placed the this. How do you say this man?
Or
Well, makom isn't feminine, I don't think, is it?
has yeah.
Is it?
No.
Hazot is feminine, right? Makom is
Masculine.
masculine. Okay.
But to say this one, you have to say the place, the this.
Mhm. Or as Cook and Homestead would say, the place which is this, because in Homestead's mind, almost every hay is a relative.
Hmm.
I don't know if Jason agrees with that, but if you don't, you can read Homestead's dissertation, in which he examined every single relative clause in the Hebrew Bible. Consequently, it's like 800 pages long.
I'm a pragmatist. I think that you need to learn what's useful, and that's not useful at all. So the has to have as its structure patach with the dagesh forte.
Could you say the Latin with the Spanish accent again?
Forte. That's a Latin accent.
Is it?
This is really interesting what you're doing.
That wouldn't
I-
have a-
I believe that there was a point in history where it would have been like this, behamakom. But the intervocalic hey, preceded by shva, dropped out.
I hate to tell you, Jason, but you're exactly right.
And then does this,
Like I feel that would be right.
No, that's accepted.
oh, the dagesh, I see.
Bamakom. Bamakom. It's like Yehoshia, like he will deliver, where you have shva and then hey with a strong vowel, Yoshia, and it actually became Yoshia. This is the real form is Yoshia. He will deliver,
Uh-huh.
where the hey dropped out because hey intervocalic with shva in front of it likes to disappear. In all periods of the language, all periods of Hebrew, that's the case. Today we use it even less. We really drop out the hey today.
Does everybody know what intervocalic means?
Between vocales.
Enter between the vowel, between a vowel.
Between the vowel.
Entre vocales.
Mhm.
Spanish.
In my translation or no, my writing, I just had Bamakom by itself.
Well, that would be in the place.
But isn't it sometimes like that place if it has the definite article?
You shouldn't get used to it.
Now here's the thing though. It says in that place and not in the place. What's that?
That.
So you could put Hahu.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Hazeh, this one. Ahu, that one.
So who and he can mean he and she, but it can also mean that. Like that night. Balayla hahi or hahu. So hahu? Hahi.
Ahu.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I know this is wrong, but I'm trying to work through this.
Zevach is a noun, a sacrifice. You don't want a sacrifice, you want he offered.
Yeah,
Which is-
your verb is to offer up.
Oh, never mind.
So you want to use something else.
But you can use that. Okay. You can use a couple of words.
So offer.
To make go up.
Zava.
Asa, or sorry, Allah to go up, right?
So he'ela. He'ela, the issue. He'ela.
Yeah, but it's past narrative, right?
Mhm.
I wouldn't get that at all.
Ya'aleh.
Yeah, Wine Green gives it to you, so don't feel
Oh.
bad.
I would really like it if you don't look at the minutes. I mean,
I
yeah,
think
you
it's a
can.
good idea to
You
look at
can.
them.
Yeah,
It's there
okay,
for a
okay.
reason.
Yeah, you're
Jason told us to look at the notes.
right. You're right. You're right. Well, I'm not looking at the notes, damn it.
Oh, wow. It helps sometimes.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
So wait, so would that be like?
The only reason I would suggest that you don't look at the notes, and I think you should, but one advantage of not doing it is you can come up with different ways to do it, and that would be fine.
Hmm.
Weingren is saying what he's saying in those footnotes is this is the way it is in the text. And he's giving you a grammatical explanation for the way it is in the Bible,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So if you weren't to look at it, you could potentially come up with other valid ways to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so watch what happens. So he'ela is the past, perfect. He'ela. Ya'ele is the future, but look, it looks exactly like he will go up. It looks exactly like the kal. The hifil and the kal are identical in this verb in the future. Ya'ale.
Hmm.
Ya'ale
We talked
means-
about that briefly last time, remember?
It can mean he will go up or he will offer up. He will make go up. So vaya'ale is if you add the vaya'ale. But we see with-
Now, this is exactly what happens with asa too. Do you remember the past narrative of asa?
but we've been talking about with bana, with these other verbs that the
Mhm.
hey doesn't stand at the end.
Nope. But it also doesn't have a segol in it. Well, it
So-
does at the end. It does at the end.
So this is the new, this is the last full vowel, vaya'al. Vaya'al. This is, remember the every shva is a shva. So khataf patach is still a shva, right? That's a closed syllable. It's like having this. And now we have a consonant cluster. Ain, lamed, al, without any vowel,
Right.
right? So what happens to consonant clusters?
You need to add a vowel.
Right, normally it is shva, right?
Anaptixis. I only say this because this is the terminology that is in your long grammar that I sent you.
So normally it's shva, it's a segul, but ayin is a guttural and it chooses a different vowel instead of segul. What do the gutturals prefer?
Which vowel class do gutturals prefer?
A class.
A class.
They prefer
Very
patach.
nice.
So that's what it takes instead of vaya'al. Vaya'al.
It
This is
doesn't-
both, and he went up and he offered up. But it has to be a full vowel because now it's closing, it has to close that syllable. It has to hold that last syllable. Remember this one here is not a full vowel, it's shva. This is like having here, vaya'ale.
Okay.
It's only there as an echo of, because it's this is a closed syllable, but it's echoing the vowel here. Remember that echo vowel?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So that's what's going on. This is an echo vowel. It's not a real vowel. So over here, this is where the syllables have been readjusted. This is a segulet construction. You see what I said in the beginning, that segulets are everywhere in Hebrew?
Yes.
They're all over. All over.
So we are 10 minutes over time. So let's finish this clause and then we'll call it a day. Now, I'm not sure. I think you could do that, but I think usually it would be a lamed preposition. El Adonai, not all, right?
Okay.
El. Mhm.
So this is.
Mhm.
uh,
Oh no, you were right. Mhm.
Come on. Come on.
Ah, you need a kamatz there because it's an open vowel.
Yeah, aleph there would be quiescent. It's not real.
Excellent. Good work on that.
We should have.
A makef. Well, you no, yeah, keep it as you did. Just put a makef there because it would shorten, right? Because it's in
Have you
construct.
seen that with Makaf? With Makaf? I don't know. But you see this B'Shem Adonai all the time like this.
But shame with this, with a
Well,
really.
if you didn't pronounce it like that, then yes.
Well,
So
I'm just
B'Shem.
I'm just distinguishing between the vowel.
That's
all
how you
I'm
write
doing.
it. B'Shem Adonai.
So if you
I
do
mean,
this,
if you put Makaf, you have to shorten it.
then it has to be,
The odd thing about this, though,
oh, come on.
is it doesn't shorten, does it? Even though it's in construct.
I've never seen it like that. I've only seen
I haven't either, but you would expect it to, wouldn't you?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. For some reason, it doesn't shorten.
Have you
And
seen
yeah,
it with? Have you seen
I
it
have,
with?
I have, I have,
with
I have
Makaf?
not, I have not, but I'm
Have you
not
seen it
sure.
with Makaf?
Or
I have not, but
this, right? Oops.
just keep it with this, yeah, like that. Mhm. Good. Okay, so for next time,
Yes, yes.
I would like for you, yes,
Yes,
to
tomorrow,
read, yes, tomorrow. So I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of work. So since Samuel did up through,
For today.
since Samuel worked through verse 10, right?
I don't think we should add any more. I think.
Well, no, but
Marcelo should,
yeah, you can just do, Samuel can cover what he did, and Marcelo, if you want, you could try 8, 9, and 10.
Okay,
And then additionally, I would like you to read what Gesenius says about the Vayik Tol, the Vav
Really?
consecutive. Mhm.
Where would that be?
I do not know. I have not looked at Gesenius in 16 years. But I'm sure he discusses the Vav consecutive. I want you to see what he calls it and why. Like, in other words, see where it overlaps with the Cook article that you read.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So it's not.
Yeah, but
you
I
don't-
think that would be the most outdated of information. In this
I know. I just want them to see the difference. I want them to see what it was, what was standard for Gesenius.
okay.
If you had a bunch of money to spend, I would have you compare Gesenius and Waltke O'Connor and Juan on the issue, but we don't need to do that. This is free. We'll just do it this way. So you don't have to like memorize it or anything, but just make notes of what's different from what you learned. Make sense?
Yeah.
And Marcelo, just get as far as you can. Don't stress. Don't stress.
You find the link to the free one, let me know. I found one at Barnes and Noble for 16 bucks, but it arrives on October 5th.
Well, you can order a hard copy if you want, but I'm certain that I've seen it available
You
online.
should have a hard copy in your library. It's important.
Especially if you get a PhD in Old Testament.
Especially if you want to argue on Be Hebrew and then be in everybody's bad graces.
Yes.
It.
Extra credit to all of you if you register on Be Hebrew and participate in discussions. But you're not getting graded for it, so I'll double your pay.
Oh,
All right, does that sound good for tomorrow? So not too bad. Marcelo, just
Yeah.
do what you can. And Samuel, actually, Marcelo, you didn't prepare anything for today, so I can still call on you to correct Samuel's errors if he makes any. And we'll talk about Gesenius.
Okay,
all right.
Easy enough?
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Good deal. I will see you all tomorrow at, we said 4 Central, right?
4 Central. Mhm.
Okay, so that's 5 my time
Mhm.
midnight Jason's time, if he's available.
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
Jason,
It's section 154 is the beginning of it.
okay, the Smith or Smythe, whatever, is it
Mhm.
Herbert?
Yeah, Herbert W. Smythe. Yeah.
And then I found one here from 1920, a grammar for colleges. It's 800 pages.
Woo!
Yeah, that's the one.
That is,
I would say that is very overpriced.
No, it's 800
No,
pages, not $800.
Oh, 800. Oh, I thought he said $800. All right, folks, thank you. And also, is it okay if I post this publicly just so folks can see what we're doing, the kind of things that we're doing?
sure.
I haven't
Yeah, that's fine.
posted one publicly yet, but I would like to because I'm sure that there are some people that would like to see what we're doing. But I wanted to be fair for you folks since you're paying for it.
What happened to the other dude that was with us?
Is he gone, Marcelo?
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Okay.
just thought, I mean, he struggles with English. So imagine trying to put his sentences together in Hebrew.
Yeah,
and
you'd have to translate it twice. Yeah,
Mhm.
I get that. All right. Well, he can still hop in if he wants to. Maybe
told
maybe
him I
I'll
with English and stuff, but
maybe I'll give him a discounted rate. Give him a prorated cost.
I think he's just busy and anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, I will see you folks tomorrow at 4 Central, 5 my
Cool.
time, midnight Jason's time, if you can make it. All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Great. And I will post
Good
this
night.
as soon as it finishes converting.
That's an Ewok.
What? Are
What?
That's an Ewok.
That's funny.
Hmm.
I don't. Oh. All right. See you, folks. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Peace. All right.